It's the Let's Talk Polyamory Podcast, where we talk about all things consensual non-monogamy, polyamory, open relationships, swinging, and how you can have secure and sexy relationships, no matter how you do them. Now here's your hosts, Tara and Andre. Welcome everyone to the Let's Talk Polyamory Podcast. Hello, hello.
Well, I think I'm getting a little road silly.
Road silly. Yes, so we're back again with a Carversation.
Day 45 of our road trip. Or is it day 4 or 5? It feels like we've been driving forever.
It does and it doesn't. I mean, you've been doing the driving, so
yes.
I can't really say much.
Well, that's interesting. So, division of power, right? Are you comfortable with my driving, and how would I feel? I know I am the world's worst passenger.
You are.
I am, admittedly so.
Admittedly
so maybe it's good that we agree on that. But what happens if neither want to drive or both want to drive?
Then you stop.
Yeah, we do. But it's interesting how many nonverbal communications we've had about the division of work. So somehow, I don't think it was ever announced that you were going to be the premier chef and I would be the premier dishwasher, garbage guy, and all the other things. But somehow it seems to work out quite well. But it's interesting because I was thinking about that today as we were leaving our accommodation, and I went to go do the dishes, and I was just thinking it's wonderful how we have this kind of harmonious way, for the most part, of responsibilities, and appreciative I am of that.
I'm appreciative too.
Yeah.
But I think it is something that could become a point of contention, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people that I work with and talk to, when there's sort of issues in the relationship, sometimes it has to do with exactly that, the division of labor and who's responsible for what, or feeling like things always default to one person.
Why am I always doing the cooking? Why am I always doing the dishes? Why am I always paying for everything? Or why are you paying for it? Whatever it might be, right?
Yeah. So that's a good lead-in to today's conversation. So today's topic is road trip or relationship check-in.
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
RAADAR.
Yeah, so we are on our road trip, which has been amazing.
Yes.
And like you said, we're on day, 5 maybe?
4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5. And we thought it would be a great time to record a podcast, but also do something that we don't always find time to do, which is do our own little relationship check-in.
Take our own medicine.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's super romantic being on a road trip. Well, it can be romantic, but it can be trying.
It can be trying, for sure. But I think about the idea of doing the RAADAR, right? Doing the relationship check-in. And as you say, maybe we get really busy and sometimes we might want to, but the scheduling doesn't work out. But here we are in the car for a number of hours together. What good excuse do we have for not doing it? But it's also interesting because in a way, we are a captive audience, right? So you can't be like, well, I got to go take this meeting or whatever it is. But at the same time, while we're driving, I realize that sometimes I might get a little fatigued, like I did yesterday. And we said, well, let's pull over and we'll take a little nap, which was amazing. To me, that's car camping. But what I think about it also is that in doing these relationship check-ins, we do have this idea that we want to come to it, but we also recognize that maybe there is oversaturation or we need to take a break. And we say, okay, I'm going to need to take a little bit of a break, but I'll come back to it. But in the car, there's not a lot of room to run away from it. So
Absolutely.
Here we are. Yeah.
So long drives naturally give you the time to talk without rushing. And it's a great way to catch up emotionally. We have a lot of conversations in the car. Like we do spend a bit of time in the car driving to and from our places, which aren't in the same city. And so we do take that opportunity and we always have some really interesting conversations. So yeah, so that's why road trips make a good space for talking, for sure.
Yeah, yes and no though, at
yes
the same
and no.
time. Right? Because sometimes
You are captive.
Well, yeah, but also sometimes I think, if it is no one in front of you, clear sailing, nice conditions, the road conditions are great, wonderful. But if there's traffic or, a lot of other things that can be kind of taxing, it could be to road rage or making people feel tired. And maybe that's not the best time to have those conversations. It makes me think back to yesterday, knowing that I was tired and saying, I need to take a break. I want to stop and take a nap. So when we invite people to do these reviews, we also are cognizant that maybe I'm not a morning person. That's not how I want to start the beginning of the day before my coffee or late at night. or maybe even in the middle of the day, I might feel, I think I've come to recognize that around 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I might want to take a nap. Maybe it's not the ideal time for me to engage in such a thing.
Right.
So to be able to know of ourselves and then to inform the other, but also as a partner, you might say, well, maybe that's not his best time. So I will refrain from that. I will resist the temptation.
Yeah, so
Unless
with any big conversation, I think you have to keep in mind halta,
Yeah.
hungry, angry, lonely, tired, anxious, annoyed, whatever you want to make that last A. So those are things to be aware
Activated.
of. And activated. And of course, safety. Sure.
Right.
And the T's. Timing, tempo, tone, and
Turf.
Turf.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
car is our turf.
Yeah. I want to mention one more thing about road trips in the car. It might actually be a good time to have conversations with kids too. Or not. But if you're driving and they're sitting in the passenger seat, they don't have to look at you. You don't have to look at them. And remember, when we had our chat with Ashley, she was talking about having conversations with kids. Sometimes it's good to, go on a walk or something like that, where they're not forced to stare at you. Like
Right.
if it feels like it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation about a topic maybe they don't want to talk about. So, yeah. So, Carversations, a relationship check-in. So you mentioned our RAADAR method, which is RAADAR. That's the one, our go-to structure for reviews and check-ins. And so that's the one we recommend to our clients. It's the one we teach in our program. So I thought we would go briefly over that, how it works. And if you want more information, obviously you can take our course. We'll make sure we drop the links to that. And then we'll do more of a maybe informal check-in after that. Okay, so let's start. So the first R in RAADAR is review. So anytime you're getting set for a relationship review, you want to spend some time reviewing. So reviewing what happened since the last time you had your check-in. So I would suggest always doing some work individually, but then also having a discussion together. And I think the point of the review section is you're not discussing those things, you're just kind of reviewing the factual things that happened.
Oh, that's interesting. So was there any movement? So if it's in the black, if we're doing well there, are we still good? But if there was something that came up that needed some attention, has that needle moved? Have we made the efforts? Have we felt any differently since it first came on our radar?
Radar. Yeah, but the point of the review is to review what's happened, and then that helps you form the next part, which is the agenda for the meeting. So you may have some set topics that you want to talk about every time you have a relationship review check-in. So like if you live together, division of labor, kids, expenses, that sort of thing. But you also may want to talk about relationship structure, sex, and then anything else that maybe came up during your review section that you felt needs more discussion.
Yeah. I think, not to contradict you, and sorry if it does sound that way, but I think it's also good for people who don't necessarily live together to be able to talk about those things too, right? So I have kids who don't, for example, and maybe, how do we broach that subject if you're feeling, well, am I prioritizing the others or whatever it is? Or you come over and because you don't live with me, do you feel as though you're not part of the household and you don't then participate in any of the things? Right. So it's not just exclusive to them, right? We could all benefit from that.
Yeah. So during the agenda part of the check-in, you share what you'd like to talk about in the check-in, and it helps set expectations so you don't surprise people with heavy topics. And, in terms of, we kind of didn't talk about this, but in terms of frequency, some people, depending on, where you're at in your relationship, you may have a different cadence to how often you want to have those check-ins. We suggest sort of a quarterly big check-in sort of thing, and then you can have more ongoing things. And the idea is it gives you a space to have conversations that maybe you don't want to bring up all the time. That's not to say you don't deal with conflict and things as they come up and you hold on to them, because that can build resentment.
Right.
But it's a great way to have a space to talk about topics that maybe are harder to bring up.
Yeah, because for some people it is difficult to bring up the difficult things, right? So I know one couple that I'm thinking of where he felt uncomfortable bringing it up, and then they had a deadline that was approaching. They were going to do something rather large in their relationship, and when they got to the time where it was going to happen, he basically said, no, I'm not down for it. And it was kind of a surprise to the other person. And they were like, well, I didn't really see this coming. I wish you would have told me or given me a heads up on it. And this person, the other person, the first person, was wanting to bring themselves around to it, but didn't ever get there and didn't feel comfortable announcing that until it was kind of too late. So in bringing this up in the agenda, here's an opportunity to bring up the things and say, I'm aware of it. I don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about it, but I want to give you the heads up that maybe I'm not quite on the same page.
Oh, okay. Great. So then the next...
So the agenda.
So the agenda. So we talked about review and setting the agenda. And then because actually doing the review and setting the agenda may bring up some feelings and stuff, this is where our extra A in the RAADAR happens, and that's Affirm and Connect. So it's a good time to reconnect before you do the big discussion. So make sure you're centered and feeling good. Maybe you do the first part of the review one day and then you connect and then you carry on the next day, or you have some sort of way of connecting before you jump into it, in case some of those discussions, even though you're not supposed to do the discussion part officially, it may still bring up some feelings. So affirm and connect.
I like the affirming part and the connecting part where it says, I appreciate that this is difficult for you, or you're feeling uncomfortable, or you're not really on board with it, or whatever it is. So I recognize that even if it's not in alignment with what I might want, I can connect with you, I can affirm that, I can recognize your position, and you will do the same for me, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the next is the discussion part. And so you want to work through the various topics from your agenda. Maybe you take turns, you can decide how you want to do it. Do the harder stuff first, whatever feels good to you. And just making sure that you're using your effective communication tools, using I, and using the nonviolent. When this happens, I feel this, if you're dealing with something more difficult, and just really paying attention that you're talking about one topic at a time. You're not layering, stacking, yes-butting, all those things.
The I or me. So when this happens, it makes me feel this way, or I feel that it's this way. But it's interesting that you say about talking about the difficult things, but what if the difficult things aren't being avoided? What if I'm just the kind of yes guy? I'm like, yeah, everything's fine, it's okay. How would we ever really invite it? How will I ever announce it?
Well, I think that's why having some topics on the agenda are important.
Mm-hmm. Right, so for sure. So some of the biggies are, death. Well, maybe we don't talk so much directly about death. Money, sex, consideration, all those other things, right? So how could I invite that conversation?
I guess you would have to use prompting questions. If you feel that I'm not sharing something with you, you could prompt me, as you do in regular life. If you feel like someone's not sharing something, you can start by, I noticed that when this happens, am I reading this correctly, or that sort of thing. So if you're observing something, then maybe that would be the opportunity to say something. Yeah.
I also like having almost like a spreadsheet for the relationship, and there are certain areas that we're going to do. So like if we had a household budget, for example, we'd say, okay, well, the rent of the mortgage is there, the heating costs or the air conditioning is there, the electrical is there, the water tax is there. So all these things, and then we kind of go over, okay, yeah, check, we've got the insurance paid, yes, we have the mortgage paid. But in the relationship, might we also say, well, let's talk about money, let's talk about sex, let's talk about visiting your parents, let's talk about all those things.
Oh, absolutely.
And already have it there. So I don't have to bring it up. It's already going to be brought up, and we're going to have to talk about it.
Yeah, that's why having a set agenda helps have those topics happen all the time. And then just the add-on, this sort of relationship review is good for any couple, regardless of whether you're monogamous or non-monogamous. But if you are non-monogamous, we might want to talk about connections with people and relationships and how we're feeling about those and all those things as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing too, right? Because maybe we start off in one direction, doing one way of relating, and it may change over time. And if my demonstration or my feelings have changed, how will I announce that? So maybe we started off as wild swingers going to orgies every other day, and now we say, well, you know what? I'm not quite feeling it at the moment. I'm not wanting to do that at this time, and I want to be able to have the flexibility to change that, but we'd only really know about that in being able to communicate it, talk about it openly.
Yeah, so I think that would be a great topic of discussion, as well as agreements. Any agreements you have, and any of those need revisiting. I think it would be good to have that as a regular agenda item.
Oh, that's great. So are we still in agreement about wanting to do this, or have either of us changed? Do we still feel how it is. And maybe we say, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about going to these clubs now? Has that shifted at all?
Yeah.
Would you like to do it more? Would you like to do it less?
Yeah, what do you want more of? What do you want less of?
Yeah,
all those things. And then, through your discussion and discussing all the topics, you may come up with actions. So that's the A, the final A, which is decide on any next steps, agreements, or changes you want to try. So coming up with specific actions and, always suggesting when we have actions that we make them smart, like goals, smart goals, so that they're action-oriented, time-oriented, and that sort of thing. And so I think that's always good. Oh, you're laughing at me.
I'm laughing because I thought you were going to suggest that the final A was for anal.
I mean, it could be. That may be how you want to do it, because the last R...
in the end, it's A.
Yes. But there's one more letter, which is reconnect. So maybe that's one way you would want to reconnect.
That is a way.
So just like we did the Affirm and Connect at the beginning, these kinds of discussions may bring up, discomfort or things that might be a harder situation. So even before you jump into the review, maybe you want to plan in advance some way of reconnecting, some sort of activity, some way to end on a positive and way that's loving or playful, so you can walk, or in this case, drive away feeling connected.
Nice segue.
Yeah. So that's the RAADAR. And so we thought we would just talk about maybe what could be in a more informal relationship check-in. So if you're just taking a car ride and you decide all of a sudden, like, hey, let's have a conversation, maybe there's some prompting things that you could talk about. Should I jump into them?
Yeah, please.
All right. So some easy starter questions to get the conversation going. So one of them is, how are you feeling in the relationship right now? Your emotions, your energy, your vibe?
I think I love those open-ended questions. How are you feeling in the relationship right now? It invites the person to say that, how they are doing. But maybe it's not always so easy for everyone to say that. What if we were then to put it on a scale and say, out of a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling? So if the person gives you an 8 or 9, well, that's stellar, that's fantastic. But if you come back with it's like a 4 or 5, well, then maybe it's like, well, what could we do to make it better? What's driving that number?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's easier.
So then what would you, can I put you on the spot? What
Sure
would you
can.
say from a 1 to 10 in our relationship?
Put me on the G-spot. I would say, I would give it, out of what scale? Out of 100?
1 to 10.
Out of 1 to 10, I'd give it about a 9.5.
Yeah. I was going to say that too.
Is that too generous?
No, I was going to say a 9 or...
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, what could make it a 10?
I don't know. What could make it a 10? More time on vacation. I do love taking vacation with you, or as we call it, vacation. It is a really good time for us to reconnect. And I think sometimes, I know that I get really busy in our life. And I think if I had asked you the same question maybe 2 weeks before we left on our vacation, would you have had a different answer based on
I think
me?
I would have said it probably like maybe a 7.5. And if you would have asked me, well, what's driving that number? I would have said, I wish we would spend a little bit more time connected. Sometimes just because of our busy modern lives, we have other engagements, other demands. Sometimes it's not always easy. But that also, I think, informs me about my attachment style and knowing that we're still connected even when we're not connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good to know.
I have a lot. I think, maybe I'm generalizing here, but I think that I have a bit more object permanence than you. Like when you're not near me, I still feel you near me.
Yeah.
I think when I'm away, because I spent a good part of July in Toronto, and so we were apart for a long time just before coming into this trip. We had like a few days, like a week or whatever, and then we went on this trip. So, yeah. Yeah, I probably would have said the same thing. But otherwise, I'm feeling pretty good in the relationship.
So excuse me, but that reminds me of, or makes me think of something else. So here it was, I was maybe perhaps wanting a little bit more connection. What about those people who spend a lot of time together might want their own time? Yeah, a little bit less connection. How are we going to be able to announce that? How do I say it? And how can I receive that and not feel crushed by it? Thinking, well, you're wanting time to yourself would be an indication of not wanting time with me. They're not the same thing.
No, they're not. I think that's what you have to go in with an open mind in that. I think it's hard to live with somebody, especially if you have family commitments and that sort of thing too. It's like it takes a lot of your emotional, mental, physical space. And I think that's why sometimes when people open up a relationship where they're married and have children and responsibilities, they really can get drawn into the NRE situations because it's so alluring. It's so different than their regular life, right? It allows someone to be an individual human again. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I wonder then, it makes me think about consideration. And while I'm enjoying this very much and it feeds me and makes me feel connected, are you still maintaining your independence? So my desire, my thing that might make me feel connected is to be connected in that way, but is it coming at the cost of your independence? So I'm wanting to kind of be cognizant of the idea that while my needs are being met, is it coming at the cost of your having to sacrifice something, and trying to find that sweet spot where both people feel as though they're being gratified and satisfied.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think maybe that's something about spending time. Time might be a topic of conversation, right? How do we spend our time? How can we have more individual time? And how can we have quality time together too, right? Because they're different. You can spend a lot of time with someone and not have quality time.
Right.
Like if we're sharing the same space for extended period of time and I'm working all the time, that's not quality time.
Not really.
No. So. Okay, so how are you feeling in the relationship right now? Are there any wins or highlights lately? I love this one because I think it's important to celebrate the moments together and the highlights. Because I think a lot of times when we think relationship review, we think it's going to be all the bad things. But I think it's important also to celebrate all the good things. And, so the idea is, how are we filling up our cup and how do we keep it full with those things? And maybe focusing on some of those wins.
That also makes me think about gratitude and expectations.
Okay.
So are my expectations realistic in my fantasy, we're going to spend time together, you're going to be doing this, that, and the other thing all the time? Well, that doesn't seem necessarily that realistic in my expectations. Mm-hmm. But then also my gratitude for what I do have. So even if I don't necessarily get all of my fantasies met, I am grateful for the things that are delivered, but also the idea that we might both be doing our best towards those things. I'm grateful for the things that I do have and less resentful or less not grateful for the things I don't have.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Okay.
I think that's one thing I really love about you is your gratitude. And we talk about this all the time. And I love that we recognize our gratitude that we each have, but we also recognize we're grateful for the gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, grateful for gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a big appreciation for life and what we have. And, I think we have a beautiful life and, it's worth celebrating and, recognizing that, it is a special thing.
I agree.
Okay. Any other wins or highlights for you lately? Other than this amazing trip? I'm loving this trip, by the way.
Well, again, this morning, right? So when we were getting ready to check out, I was doing my tasks and you were doing yours. And I don't know, I had a thought, I had a feeling of gratitude that it seems to go rather smooth, that we have this kind of agreement that we will do things that will support each other, and it makes it flow really well. But a lot of that is the consideration. And then when I know that you're doing things for me, it really inspires me to do things for you as well. So that little gesture of consideration and generosity goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a good flow. But I'm always open to, that changing, right? I could have very well gone and done the dishes and you packed up the coolers, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Okay. Another question is anything that you're struggling with that needs more attention? Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on that?
Not particularly.
Not particularly. I'm
Well,
feeling good right now. It's hard when you're feeling good.
Well, that's interesting you said. So maybe we need to find ways to talk about it when we're feeling less good, right? So how is it when you are feeling angered or activated or resentful to still find the willingness in your heart to speak to it. Or you might even say, well, what's the point of talking about this? Nothing seems to really move, or the needle moves so little. Like, I've become disinvested in wanting to talk about it. Yeah, those guys, Andre and Tara, they talk about all this, blah, blah, blah. They're so amazing. They're so fantastic. Their relationship is so perfect, which it's not.
It's not.
No, it's not.
We just had a fight just before. Not a fight, but we had a bit of a discussion before we got on here.
But when things are going not as swimmingly, how do I remain optimistic? Or at least, how do I remain invested enough to participate in those conversations when it's not so easy to announce it?
Yeah.
I mean, Go for it.
I'm appreciative of you because I feel like I can tell you anything, even if it's hard. And I feel that you do have an open mind about these things. So I'm very lucky with that.
Right back at you.
And so needing to create that safe space within your relationship is super important, right? That you can share those things, your safe haven and your secure base. That's, that's how you create secure attachment in a relationship. And I feel lucky that I have you in that. I'd say if there's anything I'm struggling with that maybe needs more attention, I don't know if that's needs more attention, but I find it hard sometimes when I am busier with work. I feel a bit guilty that I'm neglecting our relationship or I'm spending too much time on work. And, you have a little bit of a different schedule than I do. And sometimes I feel like I feel that you may believe that I should not be working as much, even when I'm working during what I would consider normal office hours, like 9 to 5. When we're sharing space. That's sort of the one thing that I think I struggle the most with when we're back in regular life.
All right. So that's good. You identify that. How might we address that then? What would be helpful?
Maybe on my part, I could really stick to, okay, those are my working hours and just work 9 to 5 and not let it bleed into the evening. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, it might, but then what about your obligations there? Because you are building your practice, you're growing things, you have ambition. So are you going to cut that out and say, well, no, it's 5 o'clock, pencils down, I have to, because otherwise my partner is going to feel as though he's not being fed? That doesn't feel quite right either.
Well, do you have any suggestions? What would make you feel good?
I think, part of it becomes my responsibility, where what other things am I doing while you're doing your thing? So if I'm simply waiting for you to finish at 5 o'clock, that's not going to be great for either of us. Whereas if I have my own things going on, then have at it, right? You've got your own stuff. But I think for me, having smaller little check-ins during the day where in between meetings, we might be able to connect, even if it's for a moment. That sometimes makes me feel as though, it creates more of a connected feeling for a longer period of time.
Okay. All right. I like that. I could do that.
All right.
I think that's why when I'm home at my place on my own, I feel less guilty and I can work more. I don't feel like I'm letting you down.
The expectation is much different, right?
Yeah, like I can just work and I'm responsible for me and,
But also, I don't have the idea that you're just a few feet away, like close but not close enough. Whereas when you're in a different city, the expectation is much different. Then we'll connect at the end of the day, whenever it might be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can try check-ins during the day.
And I'll try and be more mindful that maybe it doesn't end at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
I think I've been doing that.
Yeah, you have been. It's my feeling. I'm not saying that you're saying.
Yeah, but your feeling might be picking up on something. We are connected, right?
Yeah. I mean, once in a while you'll say something like, "Why don't we take a nap?" And when you say that, then I feel like, come on, it's like 9 to 5. I'm supposed to be working here.
I say let's take a nap because I'm tired and I want to relieve my guilt because I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah. All right. Anything you're struggling with that needs more attention?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Okay. Anything you're excited about coming up? Events, dates, plans? I mean, I'm excited about this whole trip.
Yeah, for sure.
I am getting a little tired though. Maybe we bit off a little bit more than we could chew.
A little bit more ambitious than we keep to recognize. Yeah, maybe so. Well, so if that's the case, then what can we do to address that? How could we modify it? Or is it modifiable?
I mean, we can totally change the end of the trip. We have homestays planned, but we're not committed to any of them. I do want to see my nephew in Halifax. That would be nice because I don't get to see them very often. But other than that, yeah, we could change the end of the trip. I like that after Halifax, we're having a 2-day rest in a small town. I think that will be a nice thing because there won't be much to do then. It's just the last bit of the trip that we haven't totally planned out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out, yeah. Yeah, and I'm excited about possibly other trips coming up. I really enjoy traveling with you, and I even love working and traveling. So, okay. Okay, some road trip friendly add-ons. One thing I've loved about you lately is...
I would say your flexibility. I think you're much more flexible now than when I first met you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I attribute that to you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I love that we do a lot of planning when we're traveling, but we also are a little bit loosey-goosey too, and I love that. I love traveling with you. I love how we do this thing together. We have a similar kind of vibe we like on a trip. One thing I've loved about you lately is like all the gratitude and the love and attention you show me and that you show me on that trip. Any other things you'd like to add? One thing I want us to do more of.
Yeah, what do you got?
I think for me, I would love for us to do more of connecting intimately. I know part of that is me, and being tired and that stage of life that maybe is less known for being a heightened sexual state. So, but I love that we're finding ways around that to connect. But I'd love to do more of that.
Yeah.
Would you love that too?
I would indeed. Yeah.
Awesome.
But it's interesting. There's so many more ways of connecting, right? Than doing that. Taking a big schedule and feeling the pressure to squeeze that in is never really the best invitation for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So being able to recognize that, I think, relieves some of that pressure.
But we've also figured out lately, which I think is cool, that we can sometimes squeeze in a little bit of intimacy here and there, and it's fine. And it's fun.
Right. It doesn't have to be a 3-hour block every time.
It doesn't have to be a 3-hour block. If you're thinking that you don't have 3 hours, do you have 5 minutes? Do you have 10 minutes? Do you have 15 minutes?
Peanut. Peanut food.
Is it a peanut?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, it's a potato. It's a potato farm.
Potato looking like peanuts.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for listening to our Carversations on relationship reviews. We'd love for you to try either the more informal relationship review check-in or our RAADAR check-in on your next road trip. Either, you can even do this on your own if you're driving, just thinking about your relationship. You can do it with a partner or your polycule. And we'd love for you to share your favorite check-in questions or your stories.
Or your least favorite.
Or your
what are the
least
things
favorite.
You're hoping that will never be asked?
In our Let's Talk Polyamory Facebook group and in the comments of this podcast episode. And if you'd like us to talk about something in our Carversations, we'll probably record 1 or 2 more of these on the trip. You can drop those in the comments as well. And thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.
And thanks Andre for being an awesome co-host, as awesome, and reviewer.
Yeah, thank you, Tara. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Until then.
Bye.
If you want to have secure, satisfying, and sexy relationships, check out our Poly Newbies Digital Course. It's 7 modules of all you need in one place. And as a thank you to our listeners, we're offering it at an exclusive price. Link is in the show notes, plus all the other awesome things we talked about today. Thanks for listening to the Let's Talk Polyamory podcast with T&A. Don't forget to subscribe and give us some love on your favorite podcasting platform. You can check out the show notes for any of the links to the courses or information we talked about today. Thanks, and have a fantastic and sexy day.